Detroit sports fans. Today is Monday, April 5th here on the Bob and Ron Show.
I'm Bob.
And I'm Ron. Bob, Easter has come and gone, and it was great.
I'll tell you, Ron, it was. You know, I had a great day with the family and went to church, and afterwards had a wonderful meal. Ham, potatoes, veggies, and my grandmother. I'll tell you, she makes the best salad in the world, but Easter's gone. Get that chocolate bunny out of here. I don't want to see any more jelly beans. This is Detroit Tigers baseball season, and Ron, give me the rundown.
Well, good thing you asked about the rundown, because we got the Tigers season preview episode today. It's a two-parter, and we're going to start off with a little off-season acquisitions, and then we're going to go to the starting rotation, look a little bit at the bullpen, the defense, and the offense.
Sounds good, Ron. Let's get right to it.
Well, season acquisitions, can you tell us some of the players we lost?
Yeah, Ron, yeah. I mean, this definitely was a little bit of an off-season where you saw some people come and go. And, you know, this Tigers team definitely has a new face. I'll tell you, Curtis Granderson is out of here. Definitely, I'll tell you, he was a lot of people's Tiger. He's out of here. And, you know, Placido Polanco won a Gold Glove every year he was here. And he was an all-star. And I'll tell you, he's going to be another one who's going to be a hard pair of shoes to fill.
All right, Bob, you know what I'm going to do here? I'm going to give you each player's name that we lost, and the player that's filling their shoes, tell me a little bit about him. Obviously, we're going to talk about Curtis Granderson. Who's filling his shoes?
Yeah, I'll tell you, that's young Austin Jackson. We picked him up in that trade. Great young prospect from this Yankees organization. Ron, you said it before, he's a five-tool player, and I'll tell you, I'm really excited about the speed he brings to the lineup, the energy, and he's a great hitter. I think we're expecting a lot from this year. And, you know, guys, this is my bold prediction. Right off the bat, I'm going to tell you, Austin Jackson is my pick to win American League Rookie of the Year this year. Watch out for him. He's dynamite.
Well, you heard that right there. We're going to go to Rodney Fernando.
Well, you know,
leaving town.
Yeah, I wasn't actually too disappointed about Fernando leaving town. I didn't really like him too much. He was a little erratic when it came to the control. You know, one day he'd be lights out, and the other one he'd give up 4 runs. So it was kind of relieving for me to see him go. You know, we definitely picked up a upgrade in Jose Valverde from Houston. I'd say the guy had 40 saves last year, and to get a top-notch closer, I think that is a wonderful acquisition. Ron, what do you think?
I think so. Plus, he was pitching, you know, that's a big strength for him. He's got a lot of pinch hitters he's got to deal with in that 9th inning when he comes in. He can get the job done. I feel it's going to help the Tigers a ton this year.
I agree, Ron. Great point.
Let's go on to Edwin Jackson. Getting replaced by who?
Max Scherzer out of Arizona. You know, I'll tell you, I love that deal. Jackson really impressed Detroit fans last year in the first half of a dynamite season, and, well, first half, I should say. A lot of people wanted him to go to the All-Star game, Ron, but you look what he did down the stretch, and he lagged. He had an ERA over 5 in the second half of the season. And I'll tell you, in the major leagues, it just isn't going to cut it. So I'll tell you, in that deal, we picked up Max Scherzer, and that was a very big upgrade. Max Scherzer is a young arm. He averages over a strikeout an inning, and I'll tell you, American League hitters, be prepared to face hell this year. Max Scherzer's going to give it to you.
Well, the last person we'll say is Placido Polanco, who's filling his shoes.
Young Scott Sizemore. And that was a guy we didn't have to go out to get. He's coming up from the organization and from Toledo. I'll tell you, Scott Sizemore, a lot of people are really excited about him as well. Definitely plays well defensively, and you know, they say he has about 15 to 20 home run a year power. Well, we're going to have to wait and see because he hasn't been tested. This is a guy who has not played one major league inning yet, and I'll tell you, it's going to be an exciting year to see him develop and bloom right before our eyes.
And it definitely will be. Let's move on now to the starting rotation. Obviously, you know, our top 3, Verlander, Scherzer, and
Porcello.
Porcello, thank you. All are strong, but the case is Bonderman and Willis.
Yeah, I'll tell you, Ron, I mean, number 1, 2, 3, doesn't get any better.
I don't know. I don't think it does.
I agree with you. You know, but I'll tell you, like you said, the question mark is the 4 and the 5 slot. I mean, Bonderman, who has barely pitched over the past 2 seasons, is going to be a very, you know, that's going to be interesting. They say his velocity's down, his control's a little bit better than it was, but the question is can he really get back into the groove and deliver like he did in the 2006 pennant run year? And, you know, in the 5th spot, you got a guy like Dontrelle, and I think you all know how I feel about Dontrelle after watching last week's episode. I mean, this is a guy who has not done anything since he's been traded to Detroit. Ron, do you think he can get back to the form he had?
Well, Bob, I think you gave him a little bad rap. In spring training so far, he's 2-0. He's got a 3.22 ERA, which isn't bad, but he's only pitched 22 innings and has 12 strikeouts.
Yeah, Ron, and that's true. And another huge thing, I think, is he's only had 12 walks, and especially his last spring training game, 0 walks in 3 innings versus Milwaukee. So maybe he has put the control behind him. The anxiety issues are buried, but I'll tell you, we're going to have to wait and see, and he's really going to have to produce once this year starts.
Well, let's move on to the bullpen. We got a lot of strengths here. Got a lot of lefties. Got a lot of good pitchers.
Yeah, Ron, I agree. But over the past couple of years, this has been kind of a big question mark on this team. If they're walking down the street wearing clothes, I'll tell you, I would have thought it was the Riddler from Batman, just wearing question marks all over the thing. Because this was something you did not know what you were going to get day in and day out. But I'll tell you, Ron,
It's different this year.
Exactly. Put those question marks and make them exclamation points, because I tell you, Joel Zumaya is back and he's throwing hard, and I love it, Ron. I love it. Expect him to get back to that 2006 form when he was striking out batters left and right, throwing in triple digits, and I love, as we said, Jose Valverde.
He really strengthened that bullpen, and don't forget about the lefty young guy Ryan Perry.
Actually, Ryan Perry's a righty, Ron, but I'm going to say, I love Perry. I love him. He's young, and he's going to build on last season's success. He's a first-round draft pick from this team. The guy's a fireballer. I expect to see him set up in that late-inning position. I'll tell you, another thing is these lefties. You got to look. You got Philco, Futeni, and the new acquisition this year, the Australian Brad Thomas. Ron, how do you feel about these lefties in the bullpen?
I'm going to tell you what, I think Nee's going to be my new favorite Tiger in the pitching or in the bullpen. He is just lights out. He proved himself last year. I think he can do it again this year, and it's really going to be a strength when you bring in a left-hander like him.
I'll tell you, Ron, I agree. And, don't forget we have Bobby C., who right now is on the disabled list, but that's another lefty, our
They say he's
fourth
going to be
lefty.
out till about May, but with that being said, let's move right into the defense. It's a little iffy this year on the defense. We've lost Polanco and Granderson, some two great defensive players. Can you tell me what we picked up in the offseason?
Well, Ron, as you know, and as our viewers know, Granderson, you can't really get better defensively than Curtis Granderson, and especially Placido Polanco. That's as good as it gets, Gold Glove caliber. Question is, yeah, we have, good defense all around the horn. We have Brandon Inge, who's probably the best in the game at third base. We have Adam Everett, very solid at short, and Gerald Laird behind catching, which is very great. He's a very, we saw him, throw out multiple batters, and I'll tell you, it's just, he's a great defensive catcher. But I'll tell you, there's a little bit of, Johnny Damon, his throwing arm is a little weak out there and left, but, I think this team can get by without that. Austin Jackson, he's a good he's kind of staying at that same level. I don't know if he's quite at Granderson's caliber, but, Jackson can field, and he's got a strong arm out there. I like him. As we said, he is that 5-tool player.
Well, Bob, you might doubt Damon, but I feel like that's the strength that this team has. They finally have a quality left fielder. You looked, Guillen couldn't play left field. Rondo White from years back couldn't play left field. Marcus Timms couldn't fill it. No one could fill that void, but Damon can. He is a strong left fielder. He might have a weak, he might have a weak arm, but I feel like he's going to be the best defensive outfielder we got.
I'll admit, right now, Ron has a point, and, this definitely could be something to see, and I'll tell you, this team could have the best defensive team in the Central.
Well, that being said, let's move on to the offense. You think their offense will be anywhere in contention with anyone else in the Central?
Well, Ron, it's going to be tough. You definitely have players that are going to need to step up. And I'll tell you,
guys like a Brandon Inge.
Yeah, exactly. Inge has to stay at that caliber that he was in the first half of last year. And, now that his knees are healthy, he might be able to do that. But I'll tell you, down the stretch, once these games start to get important, down in July, August, September, if you're batting 180 for this team, that's just not going to cut it. He needs to step up. And I'll tell you, Ron, Everett and Laird, those are two other guys that need to step up, Ron. I'll tell you, they're not doing enough.
Definitely, Bob. I think my three holes I have right now is Laird on offense, Everett on offense, and Sizemore. I don't know if he's going to play any good on offense. We haven't seen yet, but he's young. But those are my three holes.
That's a great point. I think, Jackson as well. Jackson and Sizemore. Two players that have not played a major league inning. And now they're just given starting, and not given, they earned it in spring training. I'm saying they are just being thrust into this position, and they really, really need to come through. This is a huge opportunity for them, and as I said, I think Jackson could be the American League Rookie of the Year, not only for his defensive prowess, but what he's doing on the offensive side of things as well.
Definitely. This spring training, he's batting at .356 and has a .434 on-base percentage and has 5 stolen bases.
Ron, that's something that we talked about as well, because, being in that leadoff position, you do need to do more than get hits. You need to draw walks as well, and that's something that I think this team was lacking with Curtis Granderson. Remember, he only batted about 256, 260 last year, and tell you, if you can draw walks, that'd be a very helpful thing.
Well, folks, that's the end of our first segment. We will be right back with the last half of this show after a quick word from our sponsor.
Alrighty, see you then.